I'd like to welcome everybody to Urbana regular session, Tuesday, November 17th, 2015 at 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pena.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Fields.
Here.
Mr. Evans.
Here.
Mr. Paul.
Here.
Mrs. Smith. Mrs.
Swallow candy.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, just a point of order. Is Mr. Thackeray here this evening? I'm here.
I called his name.
Oh, okay.
In the midst of Mrs. Smith joking.
Great group. Okay, first thing on the agenda tonight is approval of Urbana City Council regular session of December 3rd, 2015. Someone find council?
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Second.
Any corrections or additions to that set of minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the Urbana City Council regular session minutes from November 3rd, 2015, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have 3 communications, Madam Clerk.
So can we read them all together?
Sure. Yep.
DP&L correspondence regarding rate changes, emailed 11/4/15. City of Urbana Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of 10/12/15, emailed 11/12/15. And City of Urbana Shade Tree Commission minutes of 10/8/2015, emailed 11/13/15.
Okay, council, to speak to this communications, we need a motion, please.
Move to accept the communications on all 3.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on any of those 3 sets of minutes? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the 3 communications, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously, and we'll move into administrative reports from the Board of Control, Madam Clerk.
Number 1, the Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to B&K Digital in the amount of $5,220 for IT support services in the Police Division for the remainder of 2015. This expense will be charged to General Fund, Police, and is not in the 2015 budget. Vote 3-0.
Okay, council, to speak to this, we need a motion, please.
Second.
As you're all aware, John Purinton was retired a couple weeks ago, I think effectively like last week. Over the last several years, John's been intricately involved in managing the IT side of the police division, software, hardware, the whole system. We have B&K Digital that pretty much handles the rest of these systems on the municipality side. With John's retirement, we don't have that capacity. We are going to absorb the IT portion out of the police department for the rest of the year while we make plans to get into 2016 and beyond. So we'll more than likely handle that under a contract now versus having it done by one of the police officers in-house. So this tries to get us through the end of the year while in the process of reevaluating our contract for next year. So we'll just be reappropriating within the police budget John's salary for the remainder of the year. Just that'll be an appropriation back and forth to cover this expense.
Mr. Hoffman, questions?
How much does that amount for? Just has that already started, or is that going to start now?
We had to start shadowing about 2 weeks ago before John left, so we could start understanding the systems and all the infrastructure over there.
About 2 months.
So it's roughly, I forget how many, it's like, I want to say 12 to 16 hours a week for the rest of the year.
And he was doing that much IT?
I'm sorry?
He was doing that much IT work? That many hours?
More than likely.
Okay.
Probably a little bit more of that.
Okay. Wow. All right, that's all I got.
Mr. Pena?
Yeah, I know John pretty well. He said he was half and half. He, did half IT and half police, so it was pretty tough. So, good, that's all I have.
Mr. Thacker?
You think this is approximately what we will be spending next year in the contract?
It'll be more than this when we pick up the whole year, but that's where we're at right now, trying to work with B&K. They needed some time to get under their belts, to understand the entire system, so we can get back together yet this month, hopefully, and put together a package for the whole year.
So we're at 5220 for the remainder of the year.
Right.
Which is 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It's probably 8 weeks total.
Right.
So that would be, should we be expected to spend that amount, that same period, on a 12-month
On a
contract?
12-month contract, be probably very similar, prorated across the year.
Okay. That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
We don't have anybody else there that can do that?
No, we really would want, our hope at this point is to utilize our police officers
For,
more on the street, get them out in the public.
okay, that's it.
Mr. Paul?
No questions.
Mr. Evans?
I have no questions, Mr. Hess.
Mr. Fields?
I have no question.
If there's no further comments or questions from council, all those in favor of accepting the Board of Control's recommendation to authorize a purchase order to B&K Digital in the amount of $5,220 for IT support for the police division, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, please.
The Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to Western Ohio Rescue Supply Company in the amount of $60,500 for the purchase of the Amicus rescue equipment in the fire division. This equipment is funded 95% by the AFG grant that was awarded to the fire division earlier this year, resulting in a net cost to the city in the amount of $2,880. This expense will be charged to capital improvement fire and is in the 2015 budget. Vote 3-0.
Okay, council, to this, we need a motion, please.
So moved.
Chief, just in time.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
You're not.
This is the rescue tools that we talked about for the Assistance to Firefighters Grant that Councilman Paul was lucky enough to learn how to operate just a couple weeks ago, so. I got some trees at my house. Yeah. So I just wanted to, if you have any questions about it, I'm more than willing to answer those.
Mr. Pena?
No questions.
Mr. Thacker?
No, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Paul?
Yeah, just briefly, just so you know that I did learn something at that fire day. I did get to use a pair of these, and it's quite an amazing tool. Part of the reason why we need to get this, we have what's called Joys of Life now. I think it's a different brand, but it's still the same thing. The problem with the version that we have now is some of the new steel in the vehicles, it can't cut through. This particular item, this particular model will be able to cut through some of the new steel and metal that we have in vehicles. And I'll tell you, it's an amazing piece of equipment. It just has, we already have the compressor, right? So this is just the hand tool with the pincers, cuts right through metal like butter. It's really amazing. If you're stuck inside a car, this is what you want to have. Really fantastic tool. So we'd be happy to get that. How soon after this passes would you be able to get this in-house? They say 30 days, but it's been maybe about 2 weeks. Okay, good. Great. Other questions? Thanks.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing.
Mr. Fields?
Pretty good return on our money playing. That's all I'm saying. Thanks for the grant.
Mr. Hoffman?
No questions.
Okay, no further questions or comments from council? All those in favor of accepting the Board of Control's recommendation to authorize a purchase order to Western Ohio Rescue Supply Company in the amount of $60,500 for the purchase of the Amicus rescue equipment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Get it.
Appreciate it.
And that was our last Board of Control request. We have the purchase order list of the items in October from $2,501 to $7,500. Here's the citizens' comments section of the meeting. Any citizen like to come forward and speak? Now be the time. Nothing from you, Okay, we'll move right into ordinances and resolutions. Third reading, Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2468-15, a resolution to authorize preliminary approval between the City of Urbana, Ohio, and the Ohio Department of Transportation, ODOT, for the repair of various bridges within ODOT District 7, D07BH FY18, PID number 101838, to include the Miami Street Bridge over Dugan Run, structure file number 110793, Bridge CHP 361456, within the city of Urbana, Champaign County, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, council, this is the third reading. We need a motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Second. ODOT maintains bridges on state and U.S. routes in the city. They also do a yearly inspection of those bridges. Of course, we have local bridges that we inspect and we're responsible for, but this one ODOT is responsible for. This is the one right out in front of the depot, if you're standing there out front. From what I understand, there was a recent inspection and unveiled some issues with, from what I understood, scour issues around the abutments. So ODOT has a project scheduled to come in and make repairs to prevent the bridge from deteriorating any further. I don't think it's an old bridge by any means. It's just basically some maintenance that needs to be done. So you'll probably see this is preliminary approval. You'll see legislation at some point in the future for official, final approval, I guess they call it. So.
Okay, Mr. Thacker, questions?
Any traffic restrictions, do you think?
I don't know on what side of the bridge they're digging. I know Tyler talked to the bridge engineer at District 7 about this and got more information, but I don't want to speak incorrectly, so
For how long?
I don't know. I don't know what, it may not have a traffic, I don't know, so.
One question I have.
It's going to be their project to control if there's traffic control involved.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Thacker?
No questions.
Mr. Evans?
No questions.
Mr. Fields?
Did we just put new culvert boxes down in there?
Not at this location. We did clean underneath this bridge a few years ago, some gravel and sediments that were down underneath that were restricting water coming through there. That's probably been about 5 years ago.
That's all I have.
Mr. Hall?
No questions.
Mr. Bean?
No, sir.
Okay, this is the third reading. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2468-15 passes unanimously. Next one, please.
Ordinance number 4173-15, an ordinance to establish Chapter 171 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Urbana, Ohio, and to amend Chapter 173 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Urbana as needed to comply with statewide municipal income tax reform.
Okay, council, this is third reading. We need a motion to that effect.
So moved. Second.
Chris?
Okay, this is, again, the House Bill 5 changes from the state of Ohio that are causing all municipalities in the state of Ohio to change their tax ordinances to comply with their changes. Some of the changes will occur in 2016, but the bulk of them will occur with the 2016 tax return that you will file in April of 17. So.
Okay, Mrs. Smith, questions?
No.
Mr. Paul?
So this is really just a formality,
This
right?
is
I mean, if we went rogue and everybody said, no, we don't want to do this, it really doesn't mean anything, right? So
Well,
we kind of don't have a
we'd
choice.
get a smackdown from the state
Okay.
essentially, but yes.
Okay, all right, well, that's kind of what I figured.
The only other thing council will need to do after it adopts this ordinance for the amendments to comply with House Bill 5 is that the council will have to appoint members for the committee, for the local tax review committee that's established as part of this ordinance.
Right, we would be responsible for 2 of those spots, is that recall, right? Okay, okay, that's all, thank you.
Mr. Evans?
No questions.
Mr. Fields?
None.
Mr. Hoffman?
No.
Mr. Pena?
No, sir.
Mr. Thacker?
Nope.
Okay, no further questions. Roll call on ordinance 4173-15.
Mr. Fields.
Yes.
Mr. Evans.
Yes.
Mr. Paul.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray.
Yes.
Mr. Pena.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Goes into effect in 30 days, right? Whenever the state decides. Those are last third readings. Second readings.
Ordinance number 3948-15, an ordinance to amend the City of Urbana's emergency snow removal ordinance, section 901.06, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this is second reading. Gary?
I'll take a stab at this again. First reading, we currently have an emergency snow ordinance on the books, but it was almost about 20 years old. So the intent was to take it, and last year we had some discussion around some of the concerns that you brought to us around people keeping their sidewalks clean, people taking snow out of parking lots and pushing it into the street, those types of issues. So what we've attempted to do was kind of reference the ORC language and then incorporate that into our local ordinance, talking about removal of snow and ice from sidewalks within a certain period of time, not obstructing traffic, not obstructing visibility, not obstructing sidewalk traffic flow, that type of thing. Then we also put a section in explaining the current weather advisory, weather emergency, that, level 1, level 2, level 3, and how that's determined. And then there's an update in the penalty, where the penalty is now, it's a minor misdemeanor on a first offense. And if within 3 years of the date of the violation, a person has been previously convicted of a violation under the chapter or substantially similar municipal ordinance elsewhere, or any violation of the Ohio Revised Code, it may be the offense of the 4th degree misdemeanor. So it just puts a little more teeth in the penalty side. The other piece of this that allows us to, I guess in the snow part of it, if somebody says, well, I didn't do that, well, if they're driving the truck and you see their tracks and got pictures of all that happening, it's kind of hard to deny that. So it's just a tool that we're going to attempt to try to get some improvement around the city and getting everything cleared off and keeping the streets open and clear for the public. That's the attempt here.
Mr. Paul?
No questions, makes sense.
Mr. Evans?
No questions.
Mr. Fields?
No question.
Mr. Hoffman?
No questions.
Mr. Pena?
No, sir.
Mr. Thackeray?
No.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll declare ordinance number 3948-15 to have had a second reading. The next one, please.
Ordinance number 4439-15, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Administration to enter into an indigent defense agreement with the Champaign County Commissioners to allow the city to receive partial reimbursement from the Ohio Public Defender Commission for indigent defense expense in Champaign County Municipal Court.
Okay, this is also a second reading. Read one more time.
Sure. As we charge some various crimes and traffic offenses under the city codes, the city is then therefore obligated to provide attorneys for anyone who has a jailable misdemeanor, such as an OVI, drunk driving, and those sorts of crimes. So anyone who has the potential to be facing the jail term, if they are indigent, they have the federal right to be appointed counsel at the city's expense. So what this agreement lets us do is the State Public Defender Commission does reimbursement for the indigent defense expense, and if we have an agreement with the county, we can be reimbursed.
Okay. Mr. Evans, questions?
No.
Mr. Fields?
None.
Mr. Hoffman? Mr. Pena?
No, sir.
Mr. Thackeray? Mrs. Smith?
No.
Mr. Paul?
No questions.
Okay, hearing no questions, we'll declare ordinance number 4439-15 to have had a second reading. And the next one, please.
Resolution number 2433-15, a resolution to appropriate money for the several objects and purposes which the City of Urbana, Ohio must provide for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2016.
Okay, this is the Budget, Chris?
Yes. Again, this is for the 2016 calendar year. Our expected revenue next year is $6,292,732, with a 2016 expense budget of $6,287,433. So we're to the good $5,299 based on the budget. Earlier today, I had Brian place in your Dropbox, so you can view it on your tablets, the budget in detail. So there's a lot of reading material here. It's probably about 35 pages. So there's more detail there for the individual departments.
Good. Mr. Fields, questions?
None.
Mr. Hoffman?
No questions.
Mr. Pena?
None.
Mr. Thackeray?
Not at this time.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Mr. Paul?
No questions?
Mr. Evans?
None.
Okay. Resolution number 2433-15 has had a second reading. First readings.
Resolution number 2435-15, a resolution authorizing a cash advance from the general fund to the Mausoleum Trust Fund of the City of Urbana, Ohio. Suspension of rules requested.
Okay, this is the first reading. If you decide to suspend the rules, I guess you want to hear it and then decide?
I prefer to hear it first.
Okay.
This is something that we've had to do every year. This year, we're asking for a $10,500 advance from the general fund so we can make the debt payment on December 1st. So, last year we we advanced $4,000 in order to make the payment. In 2013, we advanced $21,000. To date, we've had sales of $31,867 associated with the mausoleum. Unfortunately, that's not enough to cover the debt payment. The debt payment that we have due in December is $30,500. So that's why we're asking for permission today.
Okay. Mr. Fields?
No question.
Mr. Hoffman?
No question.
Mr. Pena?
None. Thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
Excuse me. How long is this debt going to run? Do we have what's the time on it?
I believe it was 20 years.
Yes, I think it's 20 years. They refinanced it back probably about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago.
So we've still
Bundled it all, refinanced it to get a lower rate,
we've still got 15 years to do on it.
roughly.
Yes.
So
One thing, just if I could just throw in, one thing that, when they built the new mausoleum, the old mausoleum still had a lot of openings left in it, so that's kind of slowed down how many sales went into the new mausoleum. We are currently down to very, very little, if any, crypts in the old mausoleum, the Shepherd Mausoleum. There's a few niches, so now if anybody wants to go into a mausoleum, they'll have to go to this one. So I would imagine starting, next year, we're going to start to see a lot more sales in that area, just for the fact there's no room at the other one.
do we have flexibility on the rates, the prices? Is that something we could increase prices?
Talking about the rates?
Yeah.
The interest rates or the pricing?
No, the pricing.
Yeah, we set the pricing when that mausoleum was built, and we've adjusted it, I think, maybe once since then. And we're looking at all the pricing in the cemetery right now, so we'll hope to make some adjustments before the beginning of the year
So
for the new
hopefully we
rate.
won't have a big hit again.
I'm sorry?
So hopefully we won't have a big hit again.
Well, we're hoping to get to a point where we can make our own payment out of the sales and not have to go ask for some subsidies.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mrs. Smith?
How many do we have to sell a month in order to make our monthly payments?
The debt payments are due twice a year.
Oh, twice a year.
In June, we make an interest payment, and then in December, it's interest and principal.
Okay.
Annually, it's about $47,000. So that would be the amount of sales we would need to generate.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's it.
Mr. Paul?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Evans?
No questions.
Okay, you've had a request to suspend the rules on this. If you're so inclined, counsel.
I'll move to suspend the rules. I'm looking for the number. I'm sorry. I got it off my page here.
Right here.
For Resolution 2435-15.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call on suspension, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to put this on passage?
I'll move that we put resolution number 2435-15 on the floor for further discussion and possible passage.
Second.
Okay, any further questions or comments, council? Hearing none. Roll call on the passage, please.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2435-15 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
The next one, please.
Ordinance number 439015, ordinance of council of the city of Urbana approving a collective bargaining agreement between the city of Urbana, Ohio and the city of Urbana firefighters and the Urbana Firefighters Association, IAFF Local 1823, and declaring it an emergency. The full agreement will be provided to council digitally prior to meeting.
Okay, this is the first reading, Gary.
Yep, and both of these, I'll go ahead and the explanation I gave you for the first is virtually the same. It is the same for the second. We are able to negotiate jointly with the firefighters and the fire captains at the same time, so it helps the process go a little quicker, a little smoother. The current agreement, I hope you all got the email, had the summary page and then both of the contracts. The current agreement expired November 15th. We started negotiations on September 15th, and we had 7 sessions. The last session, we got to a point where we just weren't making any headway. So we had a CERB mediator come in on October 27th to work through the final 10 articles that were still on the table. We spent the better part of a day, about 6 hours, back and forth, trying to reach a consensus, and we finally did get that completed, and the union ratified the contract on November 9th. So just a quick rundown of some of the items that were changed, primarily the Article 8, which is the base rate of pay. We agreed to a 1% in the first year, 1.25% increase in second year, 1.25% third year. There was some language around personal days. If an employee goes 12 months without using a sick day, they can earn an additional personal day, which kind of is an incentive to keep people coming to work. The uniform allowance was increased by $100. They've been getting $800 a year for uniform replacement and maintenance, and it was increased to $100 to $900. We had a memorandum of understanding that was attached to the previous agreement that had language in it around the personal protective equipment, and we were able to roll that into the language of the contract to get rid of that MOU. The education incentive plan didn't change. We just moved the effective date forward. Drug and alcohol policy, the only change in that was there's some CDL language in the contract that doesn't apply to the firefighters, fire captains, so that language is identified as not being applicable to them. The recall procedure, which is if you have a need to bring firefighters back into the station for a call, this system we've been using is a little bit cumbersome, a little bit outdated with all the new technology we have. So, we were able to mark and the firefighters were able to sit down and work through a method of doing it a lot more expeditiously using the call center, the 911 call center, and establishing a call-in region, if you will, or area that makes it effective. It's a 3-year deal, so it'll go into effect until November of 2018. And I think the last item that had any changes, the grievance procedure, there was some language in there that we had to clean up regarding release of records, and it's really tied around the Ohio Public Records Law, the Sunshine Law. So we incorporated that language into the agreement just to get some comfort around what gets released and what doesn't. those are kind of the high-level items. A lot of good conversation. Takes a while to get through it, but, I think both sides came to the table every session ready to talk and stayed with it. It seems like was it 7 meetings? Seems like a lot, and when you're doing it, it seems like a lot, because you got to do prep around that, once or twice before the meeting and follow up afterwards. So I think it's a fair, reasonable agreement, and we just ask for your approval. We are actually going to go to 3 readings. We just want it to take effect immediately following the 3rd reading.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Hall?
Not right now, thank you.
Mr. Pena?
Not at this time.
Mr. Thacker?
Not yet, thank you.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Mr. Paul?
Did we do a 3-year deal with them last time?
Yeah, we had a 3-year deal, but there was a wage reopener?
It was a one-year
1 year.
wage freeze and
I
then
thought so, okay.
a reopener.
Okay, I think it's really good that we get some certainty in some of the items that we have coming up over the next couple of years, particularly when the difference between our revenue and expenses is,
Right.
Well,
one of the challenges that we talked about this the last time we went through this process, we're budgeting at the same time we're negotiating, and we don't know what our cost is going to be for insurance, but that's also part of, so we're kind of negotiating on a lot of things that are unknown at the time. You just have to put together the best package you can and make it work.
Right. Well, I appreciate the efforts. Both of you, thank you.
Mr. Evans? No questions. Mr. Fields?
None at this time.
Okay, we'll declare ordinance number 4390-15 to have had first reading. And the next one, please.
Ordinance number 4392-15, ordinance of council of the city of Urbana approving a collective bargaining agreement between the city of Urbana, Ohio and the city of Urbana Fire Captains and the Urbana Firefighters Association, IAFF, Local 1823, and declaring it an emergency. The full agreement will be provided to council digitally prior to meeting.
Okay, this is the first reading, and Gary, you want to?
It's the same explanation. Again, they file jointly or negotiate jointly, so it's the same summary.
Mr. Pena, questions?
No.
Mr. Thacker?
No.
Mrs. Smith?
No.
Mr. Paul?
Nope.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Fields?
None.
Mr. Hall?
No, sir.
Okay. Declare ordinance number 4392-15 to have had a first reading. And that was the last ordinance and resolution for this evening. Into miscellaneous business. Who'd like to start? Mr. Fields?
Nothing.
Mr. Evans?
I see the engineer's not here, but Kerry, you might be able to answer this question. Someone was out recently marking all over Amherst Drive, marking lines out in the road. We're not gonna start digging already.
Hopefully not, but I don't know. I'll find out and get an answer.
They marked the line right up to the middle of my yard, and then on down, they marked up the street.
Okay, I'm not aware of anything at this point. And I don't even want to guess. I could probably guess, but I don't want to. I'll find out, get back with you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
Just a couple brief items. I wanted to wish Officer Purington a successful and happy retirement. Congratulations to him. I think he had about 25 years in, if I'm not mistaken. We are not having a work session next week, correct? Okay, so we won't see you again until after Thanksgiving. Everyone be safe, since it is that time again, amazingly. Have a happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving. That's all I have.
You did not turn me.
Huh?
I have a question. If you have, this is for Doug. In the neighborhood, if there's a house that's been sat and vacant for 6 years plus, and the yard needs tended, and some stuff needs picked up out of it, can a group of neighbors go ahead and do that on their own?
If you don't ask.
Thank you, Doug.
It's someone else's property and it's trespassing, but
I mean, if it's like they don't know who the property belongs to, it's in one of those myths, just go ahead and clean it up. Okay, thanks.
it has a legal owner, whether there's somebody tending to it or not, so.
How do we find out who the legal owner is?
Just take care of it.
Is it one that we're working?
It's one that you don't know who the owner is, because it's in one of those.
Yeah, but is it one that we've been mowing, or
You've been mowing, but that's all. But there's still more stuff that needs done to it.
could you pass along what the address is tomorrow or something and let us look at it?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and clean it up. Okay,
Well,
thank you.
I mean, if there's something we're overlooking, that's something
Well,
we
it's
need to know
something
about.
that you would not do when you're doing a mowing.
Oh, okay,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
I got my answer.
Good answer, Doug.
I don't have anything tonight.
Opinion?
I have nothing tonight.
Mr. Hoffman?
Gary, how long are the leaf pickup going to go?
They're making the third rounds this week, yesterday and today. As weather permits, they'll keep working through the city. Next week, they'll probably take a little hiatus. They've got to do some decorations for the Monument Square District, getting ready for the weekend. The intent, right now, the plan is for them to make the final round on Monday, the 30th, after Thanksgiving. They'll make their final pass through town, and that should take care of the season. I think we've been very fortunate with the weather, and I think for the most part, everybody's cooperating. So, and if you remember, I didn't remember this till Colin mentioned it today, that last year at this time, we were plowing snow. And so last year we had we had leaf boxes, and then we had to exchange. So it was kind of a crazy year last year, but, so they've got it pretty well flicked, I think.
Okay. Chief, anything for us? Doug? Counselor?
Nope.
Chris?
Since we're not doing the work session next week, if anyone has any questions concerning the budget, please call me or email me so I can get you answers before the next council meeting.
Gary?
We've got three items, I believe. One, obviously, we touched on the leaves. The compost facility will be open through the end of the month also, so hopefully the Thanksgiving weekend, if people have leftovers they want to get out of the garden and clean up the yard, they'll be open that Friday and Saturday and Monday. So end of the month, the compost facility will be closed. The next meeting, we just finished negotiating the contract with Teamsters, and they're voting on it this week, so we'll have another ordinance coming back to you for that contract as well, so keep an eye out for that one. The last item, sometime it's either going to be the next meeting or the last meeting of the year. If you remember, we joined the Miami Valley Communications Council. It's a group of 23 communities who band together and are able to negotiate specific contracts around electricity, electrical, and street lighting. Last Monday, we had a call to come down to Dayton for kind of an overview of the current agreement that's under works with Miami Valley Lighting, and they're expecting to have that contract approved soon, but it'll have to have council's approval of every community in order to implement it. So that's going to come in, and it's going to come in with a suspension of the rules, take effect. I've done a quick summary. I'm going to kind of fine tune it before we have that meeting, but generally speaking, we have about 558 street lights that are currently under contract for maintenance and upkeep. And our current contract, we're at $74,172 a year to maintain those. The first year savings with the new contract will be, we range, depending on the type of light fixture it is, it ranges from about 15% savings up to 27% savings. So the average for the first year based on our lights is going to be about $12,000 reduction, savings about a little over 16%. So this is, it costs us about, I think it's $589 to join the group. Not only do they negotiate for the Miami Valley Lighting contract, they also offer periodic seminars and training for city staff. If you're a member of the group, you can go attend those sessions, usually at no charge, but occasionally it's a small fee down in Centerville where they usually have their training sessions. So it's a good deal for the community at large, and it's a good deal for the city. In fact, that we can start taking advantage of some of those training opportunities, and we're might be paying $25 instead of $150 or $250 sometimes for some seminars. So just wanted to give you a heads up. When that comes, it'll be a quick turnaround. We'll have to have the resolution turned around and get back to them so we can be kicked in on January 1. So that's all I had.
Can I ask a question, please, real quick? For those seminars for trainings and things, will you have a schedule or something that you could send out to us?
They'll send them out electronically, and if you'd like to be included, I can forward those to you when I get them.
Yeah, if you would. Thank you.
Mayor Bean.
All I have is, I just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving and a happy and safe Black Friday. And save some money. That's all.
I have one more I didn't write down, and when Bill mentioned Black Friday, it reminded me. We had a meeting today. We had a special event request come across the office late Friday afternoon, and we looked at it yesterday morning and scratched our heads like, what's this? We haven't done a holiday parade like this before. So the Monument Square District, we met this morning trying to work out some of the details. Monument Square District is sponsoring a Christmas parade, and it's going to be like one of the first times I've ever seen this parade route with these participants. But I'm going to hopefully get with Josh after the meeting and get some contact names for him so he can try to build something up in the newspaper. But they're looking at running a large contingent of horses, carriages, wagons through town, bringing Santa in for the holidays on Black Friday. So it'll be a 6 o'clock evening, and a lot of the carriages and the horses will be decorated in lights. The plan for right now is for them to start around the East Lawn area, just in front of Civistas Bank, head west to the monument, do a U-turn in front of the monument, and head back down side of the street to where there's all their wagons and trailers and trucks will be staged somewhere off the main route. So they got folks coming in from Cincinnati, Greenville. They do this in Lebanon. They do a parade like this in Greenville, and it is, I think in Lebanon, from what I understand, they're talking tens of thousands of people, and they bus them in from around the area to witness this. So the Monument Square District putting this together, and they're getting a lot of local horsemen, 4-H clubs to get involved. So don't know a lot of the specifics in terms of what the parade is going to entail, but it's going to be fairly quick, turn around, but they're going to bring Santa in, then he'll pull off and go on down to the Gloria so he can get set up in his house. But more detail to come later, but I knew we wouldn't have an opportunity to share this with you before the Thanksgiving. So keep an eye on the news. If we get anything ready to get out, we'll put it on the website. But it's going to be something new for Urbana. Typically, I think it's been a very quick parade coming through town and drop him off. But they're going to have some other events downtown with carriage rides and that type of thing. But the parade is something unique. So we met with Colin and Matt today trying to work out some of the logistics and trying to figure out how to make this thing come off for the first time. So next year we may have to start in October if it grows the way they hope it grows. So that's all I had, Mr. Haff.
That sounds like a great event, but just to be clear, myself and my son are not available. Our wheelbarrow is not available for this event at this time. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay, I have three quickies. I was at the compost facility today, and the guys out there say that the citizens of Urbana love that facility. They get 100. Thank you very much for having it. Maybe one person's upset with it because it costs so much, but they said it's just a wonderful thing, and they're glad people have it. Mr. Thacker at LA Honda emailed me about the Santa and device and name the number of what got that. No, this is Usher. Usher. Okay, she said she's going to get a hold of you. Something she's going about the Christmas Santa House and the Downtown Business Association. I told her to get a hold of you.
She did call me and I forwarded that on.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Mr. Paul, are you on the cemetery committee yet? No. Okay. But he's working hard at it, trust me. You can tell by the tone of his voice.
I'm making myself a reminder.
I knew you would. I have to do it too. Right on your hand at last long. I'll tell you that.
Okay, Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Like to say?
Make a motion to
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning this evening's meeting, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen,
What's going on?
That's crazy.